The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, you guys. It is Wednesday, February 18th. It's hump day, the hemp day. Today is a National Battery Day for all you greenies out there that love to buy Teslas.
I'm going to say a big, just stay far away from American EV vehicles. They are the worst thing you can do to yourself right now.
Oh, you know, I could think of a lot worse things you could do. I bought one.
And now they tell me it may magically self-combust and I can't plug it in. So, and it costs like $60K. It's ridiculous. It's $60,000 lemon.
Yeah.
Run away, friends. We don't have the tech yet.
This is the thing, you know, someone told me the best thing, you know, my best argument for why not to get an electric vehicle. He's like, it's just stupid. He's like, it takes you 5 to 10 minutes at most to fill up your tank and be off and go. Said you have an electric car, you got to find an electric thing, you got to sit there and you got to charge for like 20 to 40 minutes and then leave. Who wants to waste all that time when they're on the road? And I was like, that is probably one of the best answers for not buying an electric vehicle that I've ever heard. And shout out. I got
a hybrid though, so you can plug them in and do gas, but I think they're all lying about how much efficiency it has.
They always lie.
Yeah, I could go for a while on that, so I'll just sit down because I didn't want to be triggered right off the top and on battery.
Where does the electricity come from? See, that's the problem they don't want to talk about.
And the grid can't support them all either. That's what the other part they can't.
And why haven't they developed solar like batteries that you can just plug your charger thing into so you can just keep it going or something? This is like.
It's not how it works, Shaun.
Actually has a solar roof, but I mean, you need a lot of solar for the amount that electric car uses.
I question
the main thing is really being dependent on the grid.
I question the sanity of any person that drives a Prius. They're like they're like worst drivers on the road. They're like the worst drivers.
I got when I first got it, the idea was because it can go like 25 miles on electric only, the hybrid Jeep, the 4xe. And then, so it was nice at first. I was just riding around electric whenever I went into town. But then I started noticing like the highway mileage and the electric
it's not good.
It wasn't matching up.
It's not good.
And all of the recalls. And then Stellantis is saying I'm looking for class action lawsuits. And if anyone wants to buy my Jeep, I'm selling. I would sell.
Well, this is the thing also too, their tires, these electric vehicles are tires. You lose a lot of the traction on your tires faster than you do with gas vehicles. But shout out to Nick Bradley, who says today is also Dr. David Allen of the International Cannabinoid Society's birthday. He propagates the idea that cannabinoids are an essential amino acid and should be taken daily by most, if not all, people. So shout out to Dr. David Allen. It's also National, you guys are going to love this, it's National Drink Wine Day. Shout out to grapes.
Yeah, well, it's crumbling here in California. They're pulling up grape orchards. Well, sell as much wine as they used to.
Well, I mean, you know, it's all those Gen Zers. They don't want to drink, and you know what I'm saying?
Maybe it'll scale back down to craft.
No.
And
Having lived up in Napa, they overproduced bulk grapes.
Yep. Shout out to
you can learn from that industry if you're in the cannabis industry. All of these trends and patterns are repeated in almost all of our commodities industries.
Shout out to $2 Chuck.
I've had some of that, yeah.
It's also National Crab Stuffed Flounder Day.
What?
Yep, crab stuffed flounder, Dale.
Like a turducken or something? Or
we know what Heather's cooking for dinner tonight. Crab stuffed flounder, Dale. That's what you're gonna get. Yeah, you're gonna get a spork and be happy with it.
Yeah. And go to bed early, right?
Yep, exactly. And of course, it is also Ash Wednesday, you guys. Shout out to all the Catholics out there. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website, www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And before I do kick off our first story, I do want to apologize to everybody. Yesterday, something happened with YouTube. We're not sure what happened, but all of a sudden YouTube dropped off. So if you do want to see the final 3 stories that we covered yesterday, you can go onto yesterday's description and watch the video on X or on Rumble. And this is just another reason why we tell you guys to always make sure that you're following us on X and Rumble, as those are the most 2 stable platforms on the metaverse. But nonetheless, senators in Hawaii, they seek a pathway to adult use cannabis, you guys. That's right. Supporters of legal adult use cannabis for adults made another push at the state capitol on Tuesday, facing fierce opposition, even as the final decision may rest with President Donald J. Trump. Senate Health and Consumer Protection Committees heard 2 bills that would allow low-dose THC hemp or cannabis products, despite House leaders saying they won't hear marijuana legalization bills this year. But the opposition cites addiction concerns because a Honolulu prosecutor, Steve Alm, opposed the measures, saying daily marijuana users now outnumber daily drinkers. It's the addicts who buy most of the marijuana now, and do you want to be in an addiction for profit business? I don't think so, Alm said. I mean, addiction for profit businesses sounds great to me. This means you have a residual customer base, but whatever. Nonetheless, Connie Mitchell from the Institute for Human Services said her experience with homelessness shows substance use disorders are already a problem. And she says, every day I am dealing with substance use disorders, and I just fear that this is just going to make it worse, Mitchell said. Supporters cite medical benefits and voter support, however, because supporters argue that the low-dose THC products are politically popular and medically beneficial. Carolyn Goliouch, 79, said she would use marijuana for medical purposes. I have aches where I don't know you could have aches. I would use marijuana pot, what we called it when I was growing up. I never used it then, but I need it now, Gulick said. Karen O'Keefe with the Marijuana Policy Project said Hawaii voters support legalization overall and says adults should not be punished for using a substance that is safer than alcohol and which for many is an over-the-counter medicine, O'Keefe said. Nicholas Lavernes from the Drug Policy Forum of Hawaii said manufactured hemp products are already widely available. This bill is important to allow those engaged in the cannabis and hemp sector to enter the marketplace, Levern said. But they cite youth and concerns around safety have been raised because critics emphasize risks for children, even from the proposed low-dose products. Laverne Moore, a retired special educator teacher, said 5 milligrams of THC could disrupt classroom learning. 5 milligrams may sound like a small amount to a legislator, but to a student in the classroom, it's enough to disrupt their learning, their behavior, and safety of their peers, Moore said. Andrew Goth from the Office of Cannabis Control and Regulation agreed that there are public health concerns and says, we should still stress that there are public health issues that come with even the lower potency THC products like this, especially for our youth, Goth said. But there's also the federal approval is going to be contingent on this proposal, apparently, because another proposal would establish a comprehensive licensing, taxation, and enforcement system for adult use cannabis, but only if approved by a state constitutional amendment or made legal nationwide by President Donald J. Trump, who has proposed reducing regulations on cannabis. Tai Chang from the Hawaii Cannabis Industry Association said the state needs to be ready in case federal legalization happens. That would mean it would be allowed to be sold in any state in the United States, and then Hawaii would therefore have a more restrictive program than the federal government, Chang said. And former lawmakers Marcus Oshirio questioned whether lawmakers have sufficient information to make decisions. He says, "You guys don't have enough facts, you don't have enough science, and you don't have enough data to make the decision," Oshirio said. Oh, wow. Hawaii. They got big debates going on, and a lot of it sounds like a lot of propaganda and reefer madness to me. But what do y'all have to say about this?
Same old
Maybe
trope.
I'll go help lobby Hawaii.
Right? You get some
Yeah,
suntan, some beach life.
This is silly. We gotta like move beyond these conversations, like these it's been here, it's not going anywhere. I would so much rather hear that they've already passed it and then use that money to help rebuild Hawaii. And then also
They're not gonna do that.
maybe some reparations for the indigenous too out there. And it would be cool, and this is crazy and far-fetched, I know, some faces.
We know it.
The R word. But I think it would be cool too, like if we could graduate beyond this conversation, because the Banisteriopsis vine does very well in that climate, and we could grow our own ayahuasca or those kinds, DMT kind of medicines in a state where we have a climate for it without trying to pillage all of Latin America for those ingredients. Like, we could do better. Let's graduate to more elevated conversations so we can improve agriculture and improve the way of life for everyone on the island.
But Shaun, Latin America is still America.
I think Hawaii's
I know, it's the majority of America.
Go ahead,
Hawaii's
Chris.
Ecosystem as an island ecosystem is way too fragile to introduce anything that's non-native. Monsanto's already done pretty horrible stuff to a lot of Hawaii. And, Hawaii's been trying to pass adult use for a while. It's kind of similar to Florida. And from what I understand, there's a big conservative base of Asian Americans that are against it. And also a lot of the native Hawaiians and a lot of the rural parts of Hawaii control the cannabis industry there. And they don't really want a bunch of big MSOs and corporate people coming in. And I think that's why it keeps getting defeated over and over again if we're talking about, social demographic reasons.
Just
Respect to Hawaii. They should have the right
Hold on, Shaun. Dale's going. Go, Dale, go ahead.
If you give a kid a shot of whiskey, and send them to school, guess what? They're going to have problems concentrating. Oh, 5 milligrams in a kid, we have this thing called age gating, right? Kids are not supposed to be using this. If your kid's taking 5 milligram gummies at school, and it's not for a legitimate medical purpose, where's the parents in this? Why isn't the school doing something? These sorts of comparisons, they're logical fallacies. They keep coming up. None of us wants our kids smoking tobacco, drinking, any of this stuff. And in the hierarchy of substances that can be abused and are, habit forming, this one is way low down on the scale. So let's stop, the hysteria that if we use this, they're going to be addicted to fentanyl. Shut the fuck up. Stop this stuff, okay? It really gets old. And as Chris pointed out, there are political factors going on here that I think it would be better if we could have areas in the United States that produced a lot of weed, did it well, and that you could put it on a plane and ship it into Hawaii, or they've got strains already habituated there. We're not bringing outside stuff in, molds, biologicals. That's concerning. Hawaii is a place we'd like to try to keep from being polluted with agricultural pests. I understand all that. But the argument, the old tropes, the children. I mean, how long are people going to continue to believe this shit? And then we have the reality that people want this, okay? And at what point does popular sovereignty step up and you give people what they want? People understand this stuff can be habit forming. So's alcohol. I love a good scotch. It's habit forming as hell. I like a good, I don't know if I'll smoke cat piss with Shaun or anything like that, but, I like a good variety. I don't have any problem with that. What is the problem here? Didn't grow horns in a tail because I smoke pot and drink alcohol. Come on, stop this stuff. Really, it's old. The tropes are getting really old,
Go ahead,
I think they're
Shaun.
also made up stories, which is why I don't really give them paid much attention, because usually the prohibitionists will come in with this cautionary tale of all of these things they've seen, but the person or the actual people like whoever the kid is never is at the ledge and never says this stuff and is likely embarrassed by this adult, or it doesn't exist.
Probably a Karen.
So I just that stuff goes in one ear and out the other, because I also think the legislators will listen to it, will use it as leverage, but don't really take it too seriously. They know this has already happened, and I'm glad that we're all in agreement that if the indigenous people of Hawaii feel differently, or there's more opportunity for craft cultivation, anything that's locally thriving genetically, let it be. I'm with them. You don't want to see a big, massive MSO invasion in a space like that. And there should be a respect for that level of sovereignty. Absolutely.
Fair enough. Well, Hawaii, we hope the best for you, and we want the best for you. And, you are our 50th state. You know what I mean? Even though we're about to have 2 more pretty soon. But nonetheless, we're going to go to our first commercial, and we'll be right back. Right, he's Trumpy Roosevelt.
He's gonna say "Nu guerra sucia."
You know what's funny that you say that, because Teddy Roosevelt was the basically the for the creation of the teddy bear. You know what I'm saying? And Dale, I have a Trumpy bear. And he has a big American flag cape and everything, fantastic hair.
That's not nothing to do with Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, it is. Teddy Roosevelt is named. The teddy bear is named after Teddy.
I'll tell you why.
The teddy bear is named after Teddy Roosevelt.
He had the teddy bear done for national parks. He was a hunter, and he had the teddy bear done to market for national parks and the protection of our land.
Everybody has teddy bears.
And that is all being undone by your dear friend.
That's not even close. We're protecting. We're totally protecting all of the.
We're going to have accurate reports of history here.
Teddy Roosevelt stretched the Constitution a lot farther than Donald Trump is. We just don't like to think about that. Okay. He also ate Panama and stole it fair and square, as he said. So there's we can go on about that. I don't know that we're going to get into.
Let's not go on about Panama.
We're bringing Panama back. That's what I'm saying. Maybe that'll be 50.
Panama Red. I kind of like that.
You're so funny. You're so funny, Dale. Our canal. We're getting our canal back. Anyways, the marijuana smell is enough to search a car, despite Ohio legalization. A judge says that's right. Can Ohio police officers search a car because they smell marijuana, even though the drug is now legal here? Well, a recent Franklin County case raised questions about whether a police officer smelling raw marijuana in a car is enough probable cause to conduct a warrantless search of a vehicle. The case centers around a traffic stop conducted on October 2nd by Columbus police in East Welch Avenue. According to court records, 2 officers pulled over a car after the driver violated a city traffic ordinance. Court records say the 29-year-old driver got out of the car, but left the driver's door open before the officers approached. The officers reported that they could smell raw marijuana coming from the car, and the officers said they asked the driver whether there was marijuana in the car, and the driver said no. According to court records, the officers then searched the car During the search, officers found a cylindrical device about 5 inches by 1.5 inches wrapped in electrical tape. The device was inside a hygiene-type bag in the center console of the car, and court records say additional searching resulted in a tin containing what an officer with military training recognized as an explosive black powder. The officer re-examined the device and opened the electrical tape, which court records say revealed a cardboard tube with ends glued shut, a visible fuse, and visible black powder. The bomb squad was called, and 8 additional devices were found in the vehicle, court records say. The driver was currently charged with 2 felonies for possession of a dangerous ordinance and possessing or manufacturing explosives. The driver's attorney filed a motion asking Franklin County Common Pleas Court Judge Mark Surratt to throw out all of the evidence from the car, and the attorney said marijuana is legal in Ohio, so the smell of marijuana by itself is not enough of a suspicion for officers to be able to search a vehicle. Prosecutors countered that possession of marijuana is still a federal crime and Columbus police have an authority to enforce federal laws. And Surratt made his ruling on February 17th, determining that Columbus police do have the ability to enforce federal laws and possession of marijuana is still a federal crime. But Surratt said the decision was a close call that should be discussed further. In a quote, the court urges an appeal of this decision to settle the state-federal search issues raised, Surratt wrote in his ruling. Surratt said the Columbus officers relied on more than just the smell of marijuana, but also the driver's actions, and the judge said the driver's lie about having marijuana in the car and getting out before the officers approached both would give officers heightened suspicion. If the driver's attorneys appeal the decision, it will be heard by the 10th District Court of Appeals, you guys. Wow. This guy was rolling around dirty. Got some bombs. You know, normally people just call, you know, if it's good cannabis, they call it the bomb. But this guy, it sounds like he had some real bombs. And what do y'all have to say about this?
Well, I tell you, never break more than one law at a time, especially for this stupid to be driving around with explosive devices.
Yeah.
And there's, in this case, presents problems for judges. Okay.
Yeah.
We recognize that we like privacy inside your vehicle, but your vehicle can go, so there's exigent circumstances. Mm-hmm. When you find bombs, it's like you find Nancy Guthrie in the trunk. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because we smelled weed. Mm-hmm. Are you going to throw all this stuff out, or are you going to go, maybe? Mm-hmm. Okay, we should look at this closer. It's like alcohol has some of these same problems. Sure, alcohol is legal. You're not supposed to be driving around drinking alcohol. Mm-hmm. So it creates some questions that those of us in the industry, we don't want to deal with. Okay, well, you know, we've all smoked, I don't know all of us, but driven around, smoked weed before. And, you know, it's like you never got caught. But when you do, like, you shouldn't be able to do this. There's practical realities here. And it's going to have to be fixed by an appellate court. But the good news is they got the bombs off the street.
Yep.
The guy's probably done some time in jail. And if they let go of him, someone's going to rearrest him and do something to him. The feds may step in. He's not going to get away with it. So there's nuanced legal problems here. And for me, if you're driving around with explosive devices or dead people in your trunk and shit like that, I want you off the streets. Mm-hmm. I don't want this to be an excuse to do that because, you know, I got something in my truck that you might not like. And, you know, no, this is serious crime, and it creates an extra layer of concern. But, you know, I'm going to fall on the side of the cops on this one. But, you know, I don't want you driving around with bombs in your car. Why would you be doing that?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. What does, it seems like they found a real criminal who just happened to smell like weed. And the title of the article is a little bit sensational. Mm-hmm. I don't think cannabis smell enough should be probable cause in any state, even though it still is in most states. Ohio being recreational is going to have to sort that out. But, you know, a guy with explosives is kind of another story, and they're kind of commingling these two things. And, you know, are they going to argue that, if we can't search based on smell, are we going to just let all these guys with explosives on by? I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It creates problems for the judge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, you know, I've been in the courtroom enough to know that sometimes they look at the situation and go, I really don't want to throw this out because this is a real bad person. So they'll find a way to move it up, and the appellate courts will fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more interested in getting dangerous people off the road. Okay? But if you smell pot, it should not give you probable cause to go digging through someone's car, looking for anything and everything in their glove box. And I got a check in here that maybe is not a good one. Or you can think of all kinds of nonsensical shit. When it elevates to this level, then you get judges, you know, puckering up a little bit, go, you know, I really don't want to throw this case out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be something we have here. And I can sympathize with that. I also know that, you know, if you legally got pot in your car and they said, oh, it smells like, they didn't say it smelled like burnt marijuana. It was raw marijuana. I mean, that's legal.
You know, I feel like the only solution that they have, Dale, in this is because they have to be like, hey, you know what? We didn't necessarily have let's just say they didn't have necessarily probable cause to actually search the vehicle and they found this. You know, they may not be able to prosecute, but they definitely can turn it over to the federal government, the fact that they found these explosives. And I think, and then the federal government can do their own prosecution and whatnot, and it'd be a totally different ballgame. And I think that's probably how this case should proceed. And then that way everybody, you know, washes their hands, the bombs are off the street, and this guy's going to jail like a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Bad hombre. He's probably an Antifa guy.
I think speculative. I think letting the feds take it, since it's a bomb case, solves this one, maybe. But it doesn't solve the overall issue of how do we work in nuance and into the law, because we seem to bump into this everywhere we turn. And I don't want to like big brother us too much, because then it seems the next solution is to create another regulation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go down that path, Democrats. And then, or, you know, people want to pull them all back and have absolute chaos, which doesn't always work out for the system, because when you have things like police officers using, I smelled marijuana to profile people, it can create consequences for folks who really aren't up to anything. They're just being targeted. However, we've got to give, like, I'm starting to look forward to expanding policy work towards helping us figure out how to fix parts of our legal system. Because I would be interested. I know, Dale, I know, but that's what everybody said 7 years ago when I got into cannabis. So it seems to be a thing for me. But like, let's figure out what we can do, because I do lobby the legislature, and I do have we can influence it a bit when we participate. Let's figure out how we can build more nuance into the system, because it obviously won't survive and will end up breaking itself down if we go too far with gross overregulation and we don't give these judges or space for nuance in the law. But we also can't give police, like, if you smell something or you want to make up some reason, just say I smelled pot. Like that, they use that all the time. It's subjective. It's not okay.
Go for it, Chris. I see you scratching your head on this one.
No, I'm don't have a ton to say about this, but felt like I said what I needed to say.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I think it's totally normal that Dale and Chris had that laughing reaction, because fixing the American legal system is a huge, tall task. But there's got to be dorks like
I think
me
the American legal system is really fixed.
You know?
I think the American legal system works great. I think it's fantastic. You know what I'm saying? It works fantastic. It's working. It's working great.
The look that Dale and I have is like post cynicism.
Yeah.
Like we're too exhausted to even be cynical.
I think it can be refined a little bit. You know what I'm saying, to work a couple of the kinks out and whatnot. But overall, we have the best legal system in the world. The best.
No, guys, we have to be willing to fix what we listen. Maybe Uncle Sam probably just brainwashed that organizational behavior into me so hard when I was in the military that I am now obsessed with it. And because it's what I did for cannabis too. And now that I've got to lobbying for cannabis, it's like, oh shit, there's so many problems everywhere. We need to participate to fix it. But I totally understand having that moment where you're like, pipe dream. And I know it wouldn't happen in my lifetime, but we're not always just working for this lifetime.
Shaun is a mom. She does have kids. So
I am a mom, guys.
And on that, we're going to roll right into someone who has kids and grandkids. It is Mr. Attorney at Law himself, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet, they're nasty, and then they turn your teeth yellow and other things yellow. But he is honest, and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinion, and anyone else's opinion that wants to identify in any shape, way, shape, or form, or how, or cow. And we'll show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, it is your favorite Tio Loco himself, and you can find him now at his own law office, at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tio Loco, Jason's favorite shiticus.
Love that.
And last week, Jason sent me a video from a gubernatorial candidate here in California named Steve Hilton.
Yeah, shout out to Steve Hilton.
He was exposing what he is claiming was a lot of misspending of the cannabis excise tax fund here in California. He asked me to write an article, which I did, is posted. And what you see in there is my frustration at the experience I've had here in California. I have tried to work through the Democratic Party, and it was like teaching a pig to sing. At the end of the day, everybody's pissed off and nothing actually get accomplished because the pig still can't sing. Very frustrating for me. So what I've chosen to do is to try and get this discussion elevated into the debates at our level for governor and lieutenant governor. And I intend to push till we get people to talk about this, because what we have here in California, and I'm going to channel George Carlin here for a minute, is that the owners of California don't want things to change here. When I talk about the owners, I'll let the people running for governor, lieutenant governor, identify who they think are the owners. But I'm telling you, the elected officials that sit in our legislature have to go get permission from certain groups in our state to be able to have a snowball's chance in hell of getting legislation through. And it just doesn't happen. And in California, we have a 15% excise tax. And there are billions of dollars of sales going on. So do the math. Every billion is $150 million. This drops into some funds, and Prop 64 mandated that they be spent in certain ways. Now, I'm an attorney. I know how to nuance language. I know how to look for loopholes and side windows and back doors and all that kind of shit. But what we see here is something that's concerning to me. There's a lot of money being shoveled towards what we're calling, education about substances, treatment, and things like that. It goes out to NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, and then from there goes to places where you look at it and you go, I thought that was supposed to go to educate people about substance abuse, and there's things being done with this that you just go, this, I want to hawk up a fur ball here. This is sickening, what I'm seeing. Because I'm watching people I represent, some of them friends of mine, some just clients, they lose their life savings trying to follow the rules here and pay these ridiculous damn taxes. They lose everything they've got. And then I'm seeing this tax money as it starts to be pushed out there and shoveled out in wherever it's supposed to be going to places that, quite frankly, I don't want it going there. Okay. And maybe some place that a politician wants it to go, but clear meaning of what I'm reading in that statute where it's supposed to go, it doesn't seem like it's going there. So what we have here is at least the appearance of a political machine. All right. And I just got to call it what it is. I'm a historian. It reminds me of Tammany Hall or the Richard Daley Chicago machine. Okay. Money goes out. You like it, you support us, we'll get you more money. And no one's really got a microscope up your ass asking questions about, is this money going where the voters intended it to go? Okay. And that's where there's a big question here. Now, I'm trying to be as neutral an observer as I can, in this article I wrote, because if this was done with intent, okay, and that's criminal. You cannot use taxpayer money for political purposes. If there was intent to do that, it's like the Epstein shit. I don't care who you are. If you did it, you should be going to jail. Okay? But on the other side, if we're looking for slippery nuances and people are, 10% is what we want, 90% something else, the overhead costs are X amount for every dollar we get, they only get 10 cents out there to where they're going. This kind of stuff is a political machine. And it gives me a bad taste in my mouth, okay? Because we have layers of regulations and taxes in California, and this is what in the medical term, it's pathognomonic. You look at these symptoms, you go, here's the disease, no question. This is the disease where politicians capture an entire regulatory and legislative market, and they don't want to let go. And as Carlin said, the owners don't want change, and we're not part of the club. In California, there's complaints about the unions having way too much power, special interest groups that are getting this money. Okay, they don't want to go look real hard because they want the gravy train to continue. But when I'm looking somebody in the eye who is really emotionally just devastated. I lost everything I had trying to do this the right way, and it's impossible to do. When I look at things like that, and then I see people, they just indicted some guy, and it happened to be over the homelessness problem. The guy bought a mansion. He got millions of dollars off of this, and it just smells of fraud. Okay? And if that's happening, I want people, I went to prison for 5 years for growing a few pot plants. Somebody fleecing the government thinks they're going to get out of getting their ass kicked. I'm telling you right now, I don't support it. You need to wear an orange jumpsuit and be eating with a spork for a while. But at a minimum, we need to look at why is this money being shoveled out there, and there's not accountability of are we actually getting what we asked for from our money. And I've got a friend of mine who's a veteran, a Marine guy, and we were talking yesterday. It reminds me of the body count in Vietnam. If we tell people we're killing all these people, we're winning, right? So if you tell people in California, oh, we're giving all this money out, okay? So we're doing all this stuff. You go, that's like body count. Go in the villages and ask. Yeah, they want to shoot you, son of a bitch. They don't think you're winning. When I go down to the ground level here in California, where this industry is actually grinding to a halt, this money, I'm telling you, isn't helping one goddamn bit. Okay, so whether it's illegal or it's just politically misappropriated, sent to the wrong place, the optics of this stink. Okay, I don't know Steve Hilton from Adam, never met the guy. I'm going to try to teach him about the cannabis industry the best I can. But I want this to be at the level of the debates for governor and the debates for lieutenant governor. Okay, stop telling me about how bad Donald Trump is. He don't run California. I want to look at who's running this place out here, and don't try to pretend like you can just, put your white hat on and jump on a white horse and that I'm going to support you. No, I've seen too much destruction come, and I believe in checks and balances here, and we don't have any in California. And the people that really run this state are not the ones that we elect, okay? And I can just go on and on because this shit really gets under my skin. I live here, tried to work within the Democratic Party, and as I said, it doesn't work here because they don't want to change. And I'm a Democrat. I haven't changed, the party has, and I'm going to scream some bloody murder here because somebody needs to fix this. I campaigned for Prop 64 because it took away a whole lot of criminal activity. It lowered pot to a misdemeanor soaking wet. And I naively thought our legislature would see we had problems. Before the industry died, they would make the structural changes. I'm convinced now they won't do shit unless somebody is ready to stick a boot up their ass. Okay. So I'm going to throw this back at you guys. We can talk about this forever. What do you guys have to say?
Shout out to Steve Hilton and this post. And so I'm going to read this X post that Steve Hilton put out, and I'll share the link in the description of this video. But it says, new from Cal Doge, our first fraud report, $370 million in cannabis tax money that was supposed to be used for substance abuse prevention, siphoned off into a Democrat voter registration slush fund. Here's the details. 1. Californians voted to fund youth drug prevention through the cannabis tax. Instead, $370 million in revenue is bankrolling left-wing activism. 2. The money flows through a single unelected nonprofit, the Center at Sierra Health Foundation's Elevate Youth program. 3. The center has gotten rich off this agreement, growing from $11.8 million in 2018 to $197 million in 2024. The CEO makes over $600K. The center runs Prop 64 dollars through a web of NGOs, including the Jakara movement, Young Invincibles, and Asian Refugees United for activism, organizing, and voter registration. 5. This is not drug prevention. It's taxpayer-funded pipeline from the governor's office to left-wing political organizing. And you can read the full claim below in the link below. And there's a whole little thing all about that in his full report. And I'm also going to repost these posts on our X account, so then that way you can see them all there and check all of this stuff out as well. So, and I encourage everybody to do that, share this stuff, retweet it, and all of that good stuff. I think you're on mute, Shaun. There we go. There we go.
No, I was being quiet. I was listening.
Oh, okay.
Rare moment.
Mm-hmm.
But the sticky green, you guys take a tolerance break, because I did, and look at me. I enjoy the plant again, and I'm not raging through several joints.
You're not my doctor.
Anyway, on this topic, as far as all of the groups that you're talking about, I would have to look into each individual one, and that's the kind of due diligence I like to do before.
That's fine. You're more than welcome to.
So I respect that those of you in California know what's happening in California. So
we definitely do.
As far as Gavin Newsom. Oh man,
Newsom.
I would love to see you guys put forward someone better, please, because they want to float him for president. And it's because I saw what his policy was in cannabis and how this was all flowing, that I knew to look at his other policies as far as like, what could we look at for Texas? And yikes.
Yeah.
I would love to see you guys figure this out, but also, Dale, this goes back to like that naivety that I had in the last segment, and also really knocks. You guys are gonna love the next story. It's all about people figuring out how to fix the system, because as you were telling the story, it was reminding me of how many business operators do the same thing. And most of the time when I see these things from behind the scenes fall apart, it's because there are people who usually give these contracts to their friends having really no real business or organizational experience, but it's usually nepotism. But they have had a silver spoon, and they shall continue to eat from the silver spoon, including in government contracts. And so then you have that, and that nepotism and that kind of privilege does not inherently pass on leadership or organizational behavior skills. It just doesn't. You have to actually do the work. And that applies not just, in this space, as far as why did they fail to actually allocate the funding to the program that it needed to go to, but also to the programs then maybe stepping out of line, or them completely redistributing funding to something else altogether, which is all too common in cannabis. I'm pretty sure almost none of our money, the tax money that we have contributed to the general revenue fund here in Texas, has been given back to the hemp industry. We got zip, zilch, zero. So it's a epidemic of really poor management
Epic
skills that we seem to
proportions.
have. And we could probably work on that and evolve it, but we have to like confront it first. And I think one of the things that we have is a lot of people are too scared to acknowledge when they're in the shit and they don't know what they're doing, and they should just ask for a little support and help, and we could all work together more instead of thinking everybody is out to get you. And also, don't be too naive. There are some people out there who will definitely try to get you, you know?
They're always out to get us. It's just the name of the game.
They're not always out to get you.
Chris.
Well, there's some good people out there. There's good people out there. There's just also dumbasses.
Go ahead, Dale.
There's a bigger issue involved here. Okay. I'm an attorney. Okay? I get paid for doing things. If I don't do them right, I get fired. Okay. I'm part of what I call the accountable class out there. Now, you guys are in industries and businesses where if you don't give your customer what they want, you're out of business. The vast majority of people are part of the accountable class. They pay the taxes, all right? When you look at government, we have a bureaucratic state. It's heavy with regulations, heavy with people. And I'll tell you, my mother was a lifetime state employee here in California. I went to work with a bunch of times. They didn't do shit. They moved paper from one desk to another. They were not accountable. I think the average person who pays taxes and drives down the road with potholes is asking you, why am I paying $1.50 a gallon in road tax when I got holes in my street?
Exactly.
Why is that? We do not have a connection between my money going to you and you delivering what you tell me I'm going to get. There's a real disconnect there. And it's not just in weed. It's the entire government structure. And I can't say that I'm blowing Elon Musk's horn here, but when he asked the unaccountable class, tell me 5 things you did last week, their ass is snapped shut like a cigar cutter. Because it's like, what? You're going to ask me to be accountable for what I'm doing?
Oh, it's so good.
No, it doesn't compute. That is at the heart of this. They take all this money from industry that can't afford to pay it. They shovel it out by the truckload to these NGOs, and you go, okay, we're doing a great job here. Okay, but I want to see the next step is, are you actually accomplishing what we told you we want the money to be spent to accomplish? That's the disconnect here. That's where I see a political machine trying to continue its base getting good things so they'll support them, rather than looking at the industry's dying. We can prohibit at a local level. They can regulate a tax at a local level. The tax is 15%. Distilled alcohol is 3% in California. The locals can't prohibit this. Okay, so I'm telling you, treat it more like alcohol. It's safer than alcohol, but for God's sakes, let's call it a vice. Let's age gate it, treat it like alcohol, and then get out of the way and let an industry work. But that's not going to happen because I'm just going to be blunt. You've got to get the support of the state labor unions and the unions that are involved in this, or it's going nowhere. I've been told that so many times from inside the Democratic Party. You got to if you don't have the support of the unions, if you don't have the support of the cops or the city and county groups that lobby for them, if you don't have that support, doesn't happen. So again, George Carlin, the owners don't want it to happen, so therefore it's not going to happen. So I also believe in checks and balances, the old Montesquieu thing. Each part of the government should tell the other one when they're out of control. The answer is no, we're not going to do it. We haven't had that in California since Arnold Schwarzenegger was our governor, okay? And Steve Hilton's blowing a horn that a lot of people are hearing. Now, where that's going to go, I don't know. But, I tried working within the party, and it got me nowhere. So, hey, I'm going to blow my horn up at a higher level. Can we get this in the debates at the state level? Because the problem is real. The industry's dying, and the black market's just laughing its ass off. how incompetent our government is.
Well,
they're winning.
You know, speaking of the incompetent, it is kind of funny because in the chat there's some people that are calling for Gavin Newsom in 2028, and to which Fundamentals 424 says, "I'd rather vote for Hunter Biden. He'll at least make crack great again."
I'll tell you, I'm voting for. That's hilarious. But I am voting for. I will reveal at least one, but I will be voting for Jasmine Crockett in the primary, and I do
Jasmine
not
Crockett
support
is
Newsom.
trash.
I do not support. Hear what is happening here.
Jasmine Crockett's trash. She's not going to be able to run.
Newsom 2028. Will you listen for a second?
I am, but
you need to hear that I have a position and that I don't support Newsom 2028. Y'all need a better Democrat, please.
100%. And but I'm confused as to what you're going to be voting for Jasmine Crockett for, because in the redistricting in Texas, she's going to be out of.
For Jasmine Crockett, Jason.
That's not. No, you're missing what I'm saying. I'm saying, what are you voting for? What are you voting for her for? What's she going to be running for, Sean?
You want me to tell you why?
No, Sean, you're not listening to what I'm asking you. Sean, you're not listening. No, we're not doing this. I'm asking you what. Listen, Sean. Listen, Sean. I'm asking you a very serious question. What is she running for? What office? What position?
I'm sorry, Jason. I've been on Threads a lot. No.
Apparently.
Oh, she's running for Senate. She's running for Senate. Guys,
she doesn't stand a chance to win that. That's fine.
She does.
You can support her all you want. She doesn't stand a chance.
Right now, she's turning out new voters, and she's electrifying folks, and that's why they're shaking in their boots.
She doesn't stand a chance.
And she lights them up. She lights them up every week in DC, and I'm looking forward to more of it. But even I am telling you, supporting Jasmine Crockett, I would not vote for Gavin Newsom. So I really hope the Democrats are not planning on putting him forward. Please give us better Democrats.
I would love if they ran Jasmine Crockett for president. That would be the best. That would be the easiest. That would be even easier to beat than Gavin. That would be so easy. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Rescheduling cannabis, which was classified as more dangerous than fentanyl. Trump's action will destroy the cartel's illicit black market, expand medical research, and ensure seniors and veterans safely receive the care they need. Thank President Trump for delivering on another America First promise.
All right, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can find on our website at www.highat9news.com. And please make sure that you're following us on X and Rumble, as those are the most stable platforms on the metaverse.
Under President Trump, America is back. Trump's delivered the largest tax cut in history, putting more money in our pockets and restored America's economic dominance. Promises made, promises kept. Now it's time to fulfill another promise from President Trump and reschedule cannabis, which supports over 400,000 jobs and creates billions of dollars in economic growth. Reschedule cannabis and stack another win, Mr. President. America First Agriculture Action Inc. is responsible for the contents of this advertising.
My bio's fine. I don't need to.
I love to hear that. Love to hear that, Dale. Perfect. Glad that you approve of all of that paperwork that I was processing last night. And on that, we are going to roll right into Mr. Christopher Vaos. And Christopher Vaos is a seasoned cannabis industry professional with over 15 years of experience in commercial cultivation. He has led large-scale indoor greenhouse and outdoor operations across various U.S. markets, specializing in cultivation optimization, team leadership, and cost-efficient scaling. With a background in engineering and data-driven, science-based approach, Christopher consistently delivers strong test results and results in plant health, productivity, and operational efficiency. It is none other than Mr. Christopher Vaos.
All right, thank you for the intro, Jason. I didn't get to throw my 2 cents in on that last one, but it's all right.
I didn't realize you support Jasmine Crockett too.
So that wasn't what the article was about.
By the article. Oh, please. I didn't mean. I'm so sorry. Please throw your 2 cents in on the article, please. By all means, I didn't realize that.
Say that. Just going back to the misappropriated tax money. That's every state that I've seen. I mean, this was an issue a couple years ago in Colorado with all the cannabis tax revenue. They were supposed to spend it on schools. There was no, at this rate, we should have like the best schools in the world, like gold plated.
Yeah.
But every state, when they collect this money, they make an excuse, and it's not just with cannabis tax revenue. It's every industry. Florida did that with their lottery, allowing basically legal gambling, allowing a state lottery to come in, and it was all supposed to go to the schools. And we just do this over and over again. It's just typical misappropriation of funds, and like Dale said, there's the owners, and they get to decide where this money goes, and they can sell us on it. And if something goes to a voter initiative, they can tell us, oh, we're going to spend this tax money on XYZ, and nobody holds them accountable. We just move on to the next thing. So that's all I have to say about that. And we're all pretty cynical at this point, and we've seen it over and over again, and it does not look like it's going to change. And I don't know who's going to run for the next governor of California or the next president, but preferably not a billionaire or someone with hair gel. But anyway, my article today, it comes from MJ Biz Daily. It's about cannabis jobs used to pay well. Now minimum wage is catching up. This has been a trend that I've seen quite a bit in the industry. With minimum wage rising in 22 states, cannabis operators must decide whether to raise their hourly pay along with it to remain competitive. When it comes to paying her employees, Jasmine Johnson, we got another Jasmine here. Minimum wage in Florida, where the CEO of hemp-derived THC retailer Good Essence opened her first location in Clearwater, will increase from $14 to $15 an hour September 30th. But Johnson already pays frontline employees significantly more, and people appear to have noticed. For frontline retail staff or bud tenders, which Good Essence refers to as wellness technicians, the starting salary is $45,000, nearly $10K more than what they'd earn at $15 an hour. Advertising for just 4 open positions, Johnson fielded 209 job applications, she told MJ Biz Daily.
Wow.
We figured it's a very technical job. It's wellness, medicinal, and holistic. She said, we make sure the pay matches what we're asking for. This is a rarity in cannabis, maybe because it's hemp. Johnson is in line with past practices. Traditionally, many cannabis industry operators have offered above minimum wage to attract quality candidates and reduce turnover. But with minimum wage increasing in 22 states and dozens of cities and counties this year, amid cannabis industry complications like price compression and debt, operators are facing a tougher choice. And already compensation at some big operators is trending downward, labor advocates told MJ Biz Daily. Arizona's minimum wage increased from $14.70 to $15.15 on January 1st, and marijuana multi-state operator Curaleaf Holdings is currently hiring 2 retail sales associate positions at cannabis stores in Phoenix. Other job postings for the same position in different stores are slightly above minimum wage at $15.25 per hour, and workers and labor organizers are taking notice. We're in contract negotiations with Curaleaf's Midtown and Camelback locations and consider raising the wage to reflect contributions workers provide to the world's most profitable cannabis company. It can't be minimum wage. It can't be slightly more, he added. Through its public relations agency, Curaleaf declined to comment. Interesting. The cannabis operators most likely to feel minimum wage hikes. Ascilla Hill, executive director of Illinois Women in Cannabis, started in the industry as a bud tender. When minimum wage increased in the past, cannabis retailers typically raised their starting rates in excess of minimum wage to remain competitive. The higher than minimum wage compensation reflects the specialized training required for bud tending roles. Standard training includes complex subjects, including endocannabinoid system, terpenes, various THC, and CBD formulation. In Illinois, the industry was all medicinal, so you wanted a higher caliber of employee to give medical-based recommendations. As recreational rolled out, you want to keep that quality. If you keep the pay slightly above minimum, you'll get better candidates. In Chicago, where minimum wage increases every July 1st, the impact on cannabis retail operations is likely to be limited. If it increases to 16, dispensaries may increase to 18 an hour to make sure they're keeping up with livable wages. At the same time, cultivators and manufacturers, where frontline jobs are typically the lowest paid in cannabis, may feel the impact of increased labor costs more keenly. Competitive cannabis operators have consistently offered premium compensation to secure dependable talent. The most competitive companies are paying the most because they know to have the best business, they need the best talent. Reliable workers are hard to come by, and when you find them, you have to retain them. turnover is way more expensive than paying more than minimum wage. I wish this were true for all companies. I don't see this attitude being the majority. It's definitely the minority. So this is a longer article. I don't know if I'm going to read all the rest of this, but
you can summarize.
To sum it up, what are you guys seeing as far as the industry goes and minimum wage? I know here in Florida, it's pretty common, and I know salaries for even executive roles have slipped. I saw something last year. It was like cultivation manager in Los Angeles, $65,000 a year, which is like, that's fast food wage in Los Angeles. And it's definitely getting tougher out there to get competitive pay in the industry. I know a lot of these MSOs are trying to throw some good comments in there to, save face. But what are you guys seeing out there? What do you think?
Well, first off, Chris, McDonald's here in California, they're paying $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know minimum wages.
Cost of labor is a mess here in California. I didn't cut you off there, Jason.
No, please.
Cost of labor is a mess here. When I first started setting up these businesses, when it went legal, okay, I call them the hog farm kumbaya folks. The mentality is, we're going to go out and we're going to have everybody's going to be a bun tender. They're going to walk around, hold your hand, and help educate you. This is how we're going to make it work. And when you sit down and crunch the numbers, it's like, you're being stupid and afford this. We also have the overlay of what they call labor peace agreements here in California. You're forced to have to deal with unions as soon as you get to a certain number of employees. And when you sit down and crunch the numbers, okay, it's like, how much money do we have to pay for employees? And there isn't enough to pay what you'd like to pay. There's still a prevailing attitude that the weed business is just a cash cow. Man, we'll take as much as we can. It doesn't matter. It's like, no, it's not. If you don't make money in a business, you have a hobby. Okay. And no one's going to invest this kind of money into a hobby. So as you get closer to the realities of writing checks and paying your bills, any increase in your cost of labor, which you can't write off your taxes because of 280E, becomes potentially business killing maneuver.
Yep.
How do you do that? My grandpa was a Teamster. Okay. So I'm very cognizant of organized labor, what it's able to do. But my other grandfather was a small business owner. Okay. And he struggled with, how do I pay employees and then keep my business viable? So in the middle somewhere are mandates on these businesses. And if you run it like a real business, you're accused of being the enemy to the industry. You're a big corporate, but it's like, no,
big monster.
I do business law. If you got $1 coming in and it costs you 95 cents and somebody wants a raise, it's like, dude, the math ain't there. And that's the reality of this industry. And it's sad to say, but I've got clients who would love to pay more money, but the CEO and the CFO are not taking home a salary. Okay. How do you square this stuff? And we're still looked upon as an illegal business that's making millions of dollars, running weed all over the place. And, it's like, it's not true. If you try to do this legally, you have your hands tied by taxes and regulations. And that's why they're diverting this shit, that's why. If you can't pay your bills and somebody goes, hey, if you bring a ton into your, burner distro, I'll get it to New York and we'll pay you premium dollars. That's what they're doing. Okay?
Yeah.
And if we don't get this solved, that's what's going to continue to make money, because running it legitimately, it's difficult, if not impossible, to do.
Well said.
These stories are all really just building off of each other, which is kind of incredible, because I know we all picked our own stories. So it speaks to me as, hello, where there's smoke, there's fire, guys. And obviously, if you're in this industry, you know that this is a double-edged sword, though, because we have to understand as business owners, and then as the industry, and also as people who need to get paid. And like, how many cannabis operators have complained about not hitting that 30, right? So that there are fundamental issues And part of it is that the real estate, like the costs of being in business are exorbitant, and the laws need to change a bit. And so you're battling the sword from all ends, and your workers who are dying to like do good work for you and deserve to be compensated for it, or at least need to have, if they're spending time just even just doing the bare minimum, but it's your bare minimum and it keeps the shop open, they got to get paid a living wage.
Yep.
And we know $20 actually an hour is likely not it. It's got to be more. I really love, like, at this point in the show, if you want to ever go back, let's go back and listen to when Dale broke down how there's a difference in economic classes and how they look and charge money and how they're compensated for time, and try to figure out what the pattern is or how you can break out of that cycle, because it's not unique to cannabis. It's something that is pervasive in American economics. We are outsourcing a lot of stuff, and we've discussed not a lot of stuff is getting done efficiently. And a lot of people also just overspend and spend in the wrong spaces, or the CEOs and executives aren't taking a salary, but they are charging everything to the credit card and calling it a business expenditure and blowing through cash like there's no tomorrow.
You know what they say,
not
Shaun?
realizing that if they let themselves feel like a little bit of the pressure without all that spending, or going to events when it's not appropriate to go to events, or, you know, trying to always expand, grow right where you are as much as you can and build a strong foundation and base. But these are simple business principles and philosophies that we were lacking in our schools. We have started to see more of it, and I'm hoping that pop culture, independent journalism, and how media is becoming more of controlled by the people.
You know what they say, Shaun, right?
To fix this
you know what they say, Shaun?
Yeah.
Tricking ain't easy.
Oh my goodness.
And all these people, they're all just tricking off. They're just tricking off. They're just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Just throw it in the bag. Just throw it in the bag. Just throw it in the bag. And we're tricking ain't easy. And that's just their motto.
I want to say it is notable at the top of the story, Chris, that the Jasmine in the story was using those good business principles. Decent, using the good. Her name is Jasmine. That was like cosmic to me. I could not have predicted that. But that she was using these good foundational principles. And when you're a business that does that, just like illicit brand, and I know some folks have their qualms and questions, everybody's had a bad deal at one point, but illicit has largely done the same thing and built this large fan base. And when you do that and you care about your customer and you care about your employees, it's just a magnet. And when you expand, and only think about profit, and what can I do next, and you lose so much touch, of course, the wheels are going to fall off.
What I've seen over and over again, you know, when I get called for consulting gigs a lot, and I was kind of a fix-it guy for, you know, distressed cultivation businesses for a while. And oftentimes what happens is investors are new to this business. They don't really... You know, in America, we don't have a strong manufacturing sector at all, period.
No.
A lot of the people that get into cannabis operations and invest in it are people that come from paper businesses. They're realtors and attorneys and people that are used to, you know, or someone from the medical field. They're not used to producing a tangible thing. We don't have a strong manufacturing sector here anymore. So they get into a manufacturing business. They know nothing about it. You know, they think they're very wise at business, and they realize that they're not making the profit that they wanted to make. They build this pro forma that goes to the moon, and then they're looking at their numbers, and rather than intelligently optimizing their operations, the big thing that's staring at them on their P&Ls is labor. So they would just want to slash labor. But then they get caught in this vicious cycle because they don't have enough talent. They don't have enough critical thinking people to actually solve the infrastructure problems and other problems they have. So this infrastructure and personnel thing tends to compound, and then these businesses kind of do the slow death spiral. And you've seen that with a ton of cannabis companies. I mean, MedMen, for example, you know.
Great example.
And it's not always necessarily greed.
MedMen, it was definitely greed.
In the case of MedMen, it was greed, yes. But
And
you know,
often, Chris, it's not always greed, but often, because I've been brought in to sometimes mediate or help oversee transition between feuding executives. And one thing I've noticed is that they often fire the canary. Like they often fire all the canaries.
Yeah.
Well, that's why there's
they
whistleblower
often get rid
protection
of
laws
them,
in
and then
America.
you get in there and you have to like discern. And this is why I love going back and doing exit interviews with anyone who was recently released, because you gotta know what's really going on. But it's sometimes not greed, and yes, sometimes it is
It's always
absolutely
greed.
ruthlessness.
It's always greed. It's greed and power.
Well, but if you go to a business school, okay, they teach you about EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, and amortization. Okay.
Yep. EBITDA. Yep.
In the cannabis business, when you get to the tax part of it, okay, they flush the toilet on you, because you end up, after the tax problems you have, with a couple of pennies on the dollar as profit, and you've leveraged yourself to the point where you've got overhead, you got to pay loans. There's a lot of things go into it. And when I sit down with these people and we start talking about what they're doing, I try to remind them we have a corporate veil around your personal assets. That's why we build a corporation or an LLC. And if you start doing things that are a little sketchy because you have to, okay, now you can lose the protections of a business. I remember telling one group of guys, how much is your wife's wedding ring worth? Okay? Like, what? Like, you guys are stealing shit from the company.
Yep.
Everyone knows that they're doing hanky shit. And if someone goes after you to get paid because you took money from them, they're going to pierce your corporate veil. And so you're going to have to hawk your wife's wedding ring. They're like shocked. Okay. That's the reality we face in this business. And at some point at the Wharton School, they're going to talk about how stupid we were when we tried to roll out cannabis and then treat it like it was a business. Government does not want this to work, because look at what they're doing. Okay. You can put all the flowery language you want onto it. They don't want this to work, because if this is any other business, you go back to the legislature and go, look, guys, we got to rethink a lot of this stuff and fix this. They won't do it for us. They won't. It's like, oh, what about the children? You get some pants pisser doctor. Oh, we found that smoking weed can be habit forming.
Yeah.
So what? Okay. You'll tell someone to take Tylenol, that'll kill you quicker than weed.
That's right.
There's just so many parts of this that just irritate the shit out of me. Okay. When I'm sitting with someone who's losing their life savings trying to do this, and you don't have an answer to them other than, it's out of our control. The bosses don't want this to work. So guess what? Go back to another hustle, because this one ain't going to work.
Fair enough.
A lot of the kids that get into these entry level roles, both on the retail and the cultivation side, no offense to any of them, but they're kind of fringe people already, and usually that's a good thing, because they have a passion for what they want to do for the cannabis industry, right? But if they could get a better job, they would. They're there more or less for a reason, and there's people exploiting on their passion, unfortunately. And there's an almost endless supply of young people that are passionate about cannabis that are fringe people that, probably couldn't get a job at Burger King. And they're constantly just being exploited by these companies.
Well, and the thing about it too is one of the other factors, because you bring up a really interesting point. A lot of those larger companies, they all do drug tests, and cannabis companies don't do drug tests, or they have a different way of passing a drug test, so per se, as opposed to traditional jobs. And so therefore, sometimes working at a dispensary is their only option, which creates a larger pool of employees to do this kind of work, which at the same time, you don't always necessarily get the best people in those sample sizes, because they're low paying jobs that are just basically entry level positions.
But that's not always true, guys. We gotta let there be nuance, because there are definitely some good, hardworking people who start from the bottom.
Yes, and that's why the cream rises to the top.
But at most of these companies, there's not.
I totally agree.
There ladder for them to move up. That hard work isn't rewarded. exploited.
Totally, I totally agree with you. I think like all of these things can be true, and it's a very complicated, multifaceted reality. Like I think I said earlier, I think it was this story. It's like multiple swords and all angles. You know, it's painful, but we'll figure it out. And it starts with, you know, Dale, to your point about the legislature. I think the people need to realize that the people's court is the legislature. So go show up and make a lot of noise, because they can't really ignore it when you show up in such massive volume that it catches news attention, and it becomes a large social, like the organism of the United States now has communication devices and social platforms where we can see what the whole group is thinking and saying pretty easily, and they can see when you're really motivated, and they also don't want to tipple the top too much. You know, we're not totally falling over yet. So
I love it.
Seek faith.
Yeah, but
Go participate.
I believe in pulling their pants down. Okay, that's where I am. I mean, I tried working with the Democratic Party here, and as I said, like teaching a pig to sing. Okay, you have to pull people's pants down and shine a spotlight on the crap that's being done. Okay, because I represent people who are human beings who have been destroyed because those that are in charge don't give two shits about whether they're destroyed. You know, their emotional beliefs about this just are immune to facts. They don't seem to care. Okay, so I'm at the point where I'm done talking. Okay, I'm pulling some people's pants down now.
Yeah,
if you don't like it,
make them grab their ankles.
Jason, you know me. I'll call anybody.
That's
out,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here, smells to high heaven. Okay. And I'm going to call my own party out.
Yep.
Okay. If this is true, this is the problem why these businesses cannot be sufficient like this. I pay my employees very well. Okay. Because I know that they will then watch my back and cover my ass and take care of me. Okay, we can't do that in the cannabis industry because the numbers just won't allow it.
Yep,
it's just not right.
It's true.
Okay, and so you run a business, Jason. You know you got to do the math here. You got investors, there's all this stuff.
You know what they say? The math ain't mathin', Dale. When the math ain't mathin', you know what I'm saying? You got to make those tough decisions. You know what I'm saying? If we're selling the wife's engagement ring or wedding ring, whatever, you know, we're selling it. We're hawking it. Because we got to keep the cash flow flowing.
Stab you in your sleep.
Yep.
And then the consequences come back. I mean, this is about consequences and accountability on all different levels. And I'm just tired of the government thinking I can just be unaccountable to everybody and keep expecting us to keep putting money in your hand to misappropriate it. It's just, it's got to stop.
You know, and I feel like the whole industry overall needs to get more about weed for the people. And that's really is the crux of all of this. Yep. And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know. But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
But on that, we are back, and you guys missed a fabulous conversation that we just had backstage, where Shaun actually admitted that I am a super genius. It was great.
Her nose started to grow too, so we'll just leave it like
that was not lying. I'm not lying. You know what I'm saying? That was not a lie. Those words were said. And speaking of Shaun, we are going to roll right into Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mom. She's a veteran who served her country proud. And she's a mediator who loves to always get in the mix of people's infighting and try to find some common ground. It is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
What is my dilemma, guys?
Yeah. She loves the drama.
My article comes to you today from Chris Casaccia. It's from Cultivated News, and this is an interesting. It's a Lunar New Year, guys. You got a couple of days to think about what you want to do with your life, how you want to approach the whole new year. And you can celebrate regular New Year, do Lunar New Year, go ahead, do Aries season if you want to. Every time you have a chance to self-evaluate and reset, I highly recommend it. All right. So Cultivated News, Chris, it's a nice feature story. I don't plan on ever going back. Why industry pros are leaving cannabis. This was not planned. But I thought it was an interesting headline and interesting timing. As employment declines in legacy markets and federal reform slows, longtime cannabis executives are rethinking their bets on an industry that once promised generational upside. Veteran cannabis operators in mature markets are leaving the industry after years of layoffs, capital shortage, and stalled reform. Burnout, financial instability, and shrinking career pathways are pushing longtime executives to seek stability in insurance, AI, consumer goods, and other sectors. Even as new markets like New York grow, employment declines in legacy states signal a broader reset for an industry once defined by rapid expansion and optimism. Perhaps too fast, guys. The bubble does burst when you rush it like that. We have done this several times in the United States. We got to start to look at our patterns. Chris Laporte racked up a personal debt, and these are stories. So this is a great story because he pulled industry folks out and he talked to them. We even have someone, Jason, an old correspondent from High at 9 News, Gretchen Gailey's in the story.
Oh boy.
So
exciting. I'm so excited.
Chris Laporte racked up a personal debt trying to, I have no idea why Gretchen left the show, and I'm sorry, Jason, if you and Gretchen, I don't even know.
No, everything's fine. Just go ahead.
I heard you.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know
Chris
either.
Laporte, my bad.
I don't know.
Chris Laporte racked up personal debt trying to usher in a new era of consumption venues in Las Vegas. Retail burnout led Lilac Mazer Power to seek an exit in Arizona after years in national sales roles. Nigel, and I apologize if I get this wrong, Nigel Despinazi's career hit a wall. These first movers and countless others are part of a growing contingent of longtime industry pros leaving the cannabis sector. There's a host of reasons for the exodus, but new business opportunities and peace of mind are a common theme. Over a decade after legalization movements started finding their stride in the United States, many of the industry's top executives and advocates are moving on to less green pastures. Some, like Thomas Tinsley, moved hundreds of miles to chase the dream. He relocated from San Diego to Oregon for a job in the state's emerging cannabis market in 2014. The same year, voters approved a ballot initiative paving the way. Like many in early legalization states, he's held all sorts of jobs, including grower, processor, and delivery driver. After a 7-year stint in various sales roles and his 4th layoff, it was time for a change. My mental health was suffering, and so was my bank account, he told Cultivated. He bemoaned the unprofessionalism and the lack of sales training in the workplace and the endless double duties of the job, which could require him to pitch in on accounts receivables or payables one day and lead inventory management the next. He said he felt underpaid and underappreciated, and a pathway for career advancement never materialized. Who said that, Chris? Was that you? I think so.
Yep.
In January, he started a new sales role at one of the nation's largest uniform supply and service providers. The pay is great, tons of perks, and there are pathways to success, he said. I'm completely happy and I don't plan on ever going back to the industry. Ow, that one hurts a little. We are going to start losing really good people because this crunch is going to happen. Nearly all of his former Oregon employees are out of business today. The workforce in mature markets like Oregon, Illinois, and Colorado are shrinking, fueling a nationwide employment decline for the first time in the emerging sector. According to national staffing firm Vaos, the U.S. cannabis industry in 2024 employed about 425,000 full-time positions, down 3.4% from 2023. But the 2025 report may show an uptick in national employment given growth in the New York and New Jersey markets. Vaos did not respond to inquiries for the story, and other industry staffing firms declined to discuss the potential impact of losing longtime workers and executives to other industries. Know when to fold them. Laporte has been a leader for advancing consumption venue laws, policies, and hospitality in Las Vegas since 2027, when he first introduced the concept to city lawmakers. This feels familiar. His firm, Reset, consulted with Thrive Cannabis Marketplace to open the state's first licensed consumption venue, Smoke and Mirrors. Oh, that sounds like totally ironic, and I apologize for that. Smoke and Mirrors in February 2024. The landmark project was one of several in the pipeline for Reset, but ongoing regulatory hurdles and challenges raising capital and securing real estate for license holders derailed plans. I just can't help but notice like Reset and Smoke and Mirrors, and it just is not lost on me how much heart goes into the groundwork of this industry, because the people are very intelligent and they have great ideas. And sometimes that's just not enough, guys. The landmark project was one of several in the pipeline for Reset, but ongoing regulatory hurdles and challenges, raising capital and securing real estate for license holders derailed plans. We couldn't get money for these businesses, Laporte told Cultivated. After racking up $25,000 in debt, he shuttered Reset. I am so glad he stopped it at $25K. A lot of people go a lot deeper. Despite lofty market expectations a few years ago and more than a dozen projects awaiting final approval, only a couple of consumption venues are operational today in Las Vegas, a reverberation of declining tourism, capital shortages, and limited revenue streams, according to industry experts. In April, Smoke and Mirrors closed. I just couldn't believe that this wasn't working, and I put myself in a pretty precarious financial position, said Laporte, who recently pivoted to selling health and life insurance. During Dispinazi, I just couldn't believe this was working, and I put myself in a pretty precarious financial position, said Laporte, who recently pivoted to selling health and life insurance. I have a family, so financial stability is priority number one. Chasing a dream is exciting, but sometimes you just have to get it right and realize the timing isn't right. I am so sorry, you guys. My son just texted me and it totally threw me off because I thought it was Jason telling me something was wrong with the broadcast.
Nope.
We're all good. My son's computer is broken though. I thought it was Jason texting me.
No, stop.
I gotta help him.
Your son must have an amazing name.
That was what was just popped up, and I was like, the computer's broken. What's happening? Grass is greener. During college, I apologize, mom. During college, Dispinazi cold called and emailed hundreds of prospects before landing cultivation internships in Colorado and Rhode Island. After graduating with business degree from Brown University, he started harvesting and trimming service for growers in Oklahoma that bellied up. His first sales job was at the Calyx Containers, followed by a stint at analytics providers BDSA retail software maker Jointly, and Beard Bros Farms, a brand and media outlet we all know and love. An industry-wide cash crunch made sales jobs untenable and his future uncertain. no one has money. It's getting drained out via taxation, regulation, and you name it, he told Cultivated. Last August, he accepted a business development role at a San Francisco-based AI company rather than trying to, quote, turn my wheels on the same thing I've been trying to do for the last 7 years. He referred to the competing opportunities as night and day while finding camaraderie and purpose in the workplace again. I joined the weed industry because of the people that I could be around and frankly, so I could be myself. What I ended up finding here was people that will still take me as I am, zany as I am, charting a new path. And Jason, you let me know because I'm just gonna share these people's stories and you hit me on time. Because this is basically what this article is it's people sharing their actual personal stories. And
Well, I
I
mean,
think it's very relatable for a lot of people.
you can share one or more of these personal stories, only the good ones, because some of them are kind of lame.
We'll do some of them are lame. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just do the next one that's
All
in
right.
chronology and we'll leave it there. Okay. Power was excited. So charting a new path. Power was excited to enter Arizona's developing market in 2011. So she's been here for a minute. For business opportunities and a passion to improve patient lives. I got into the industry because I believe in the plant and the medicinal recreational properties, but I also believe in the beauty of creating something new, she told Cultivated. Similar to those interviewed for the stories and other first movers, she considered it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. She exited the industry in October 2025, feeling joyless, frustrated, and bored. Woo! On a panel a few years ago, she caught herself reiterating the same retail pain points she had highlighted for years: declining prices, market saturation, insatiable demand for high THC percentages, and product commoditization. The definition of insanity was actually me because I kept talking about the same thing over and over and trying to wake up the industry and nothing changed. She said, I realized I wanted to do something else. This is not it. So she put out word that her retail store in Mesa, Giving Tree Dispensary, was on the sales block, brokered a successful deal, and walked away, no strings attached. Meanwhile, good for her. Power was tinkering with the idea to revitalize a failed brand she launched a few years ago targeting women in menopause. I took a couple of weeks off and it became very clear this is what I wanted to do, she said. She recently inked a manufacturing deal to develop federally legal hemp-based products with terpenes, cannabinoids, and functional non-psychoactive mushrooms. Power, with renewed optimism, says they're going to launch in March. And I hope that those are like purely hemp-based because I think we have a story about that farm bill going to come soon, later this week, probably. I want to bring the amazing properties of the cannabis plant to women that are struggling with perimenopause and all of those symptoms, and it's bringing back that excitement. I think that's a good note to leave it on because let's bring it back to the whole team. We all know people who have been here for like 20 plus years, veterans, and they have put the time and the sweat in. And then we also know those folks who have been doing that and they're on the legacy side, they're on the underground. And then you got this group in between that it's like where there's a will, there's a way to an extent. And I love hearing that some are pivoting into greater opportunities and more meaningful spaces. I love that there are always going to be those who are ride or die for cannabis, and I get that and respect it. Much love. And then those who are realizing that you can talk until you're blue in the face, and at the end of the day, and this is something that is really hard in mediations, especially, is that sometimes like the parties can talk and understand everything and logic can be given and you have a lot of good reason and common sense and just folks will not, they just won't do it anyway. So, and this whole show has been a testimony to that. So, gentlemen, what do you think?
So I have probably a differing opinion than probably the rest of you, but I'd like to let Chris and Dale extrapolate for a minute before I go into, because I'm just going to rain on everyone's parade.
Well, I've set up businesses where the executives and the founders came from the weed industry. Their risk they were not risk averse, let's put it that way. And in psychological terms, they were on the male tail. They were not particularly agreeable. They were taking the risk of slinging weed in the industry. Okay, so I spent a lot of time trying to educate them on how to run a business, and it didn't always work out so well. I've also had clients who had MBAs and thought they knew everything, and they just were not educatable about the weed industry because it doesn't fit what they learned in their MBA school. Okay? The best success I've had are people that have, sort of the disagreeableness that we find in the industry, and that have a decent understanding of how to run a business and what that means. That's the ones that are most successful, because I've tried educating the different sides of that. You run into problems. The industry that we all worked in, Jason, before it got legal, was you knew that you were standing on the other side of a line to get you in some trouble.
Exactly.
That's what entrepreneurs do anyway. We teach that in business school. If you're an entrepreneur and you're not afraid of risk, you can make a lot of money out there, fall right in your face. But as I said before, they teach you how to get to EBITDA. But how do you deal with the taxes and all the other nonsense you got to deal with here, which no industry has to do? At some point, no matter how much you're in favor of weed, if you can't make it work, they just take their dolls and leave. And that's what we're seeing here.
I'm going to take my ball and I'm going home. That part.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of these companies do not have a corporate ladder. There's, a lot of the medium-sized cannabis operators, they have their founders, they have their kind of inner circle, and they have their entry-level employees. And I've been at one of these companies working as a director of cultivation, and I remember there was a girl that worked there that was very motivated. She's going to school for botany. And she asked me, like, what can I do to get your job? And I was like, well, not work here. Go trap for a couple of years and learn how to grow really good weed, and then come back and do this on your own, because this company will never promote you. You will not. There is no ladder. Unfortunately, that's the truth in a lot of places. And it hurts to be blunt like that sometimes to people that are passionate. But that's what this.
Did you say? Like did you say passionate or packing it?
Both.
Okay. So I guess I have a similar outlook on this as both Chris and Dale, and maybe, you know what I'm saying, but I'm gonna word it in a very different kind of context. To me, I think maybe this is all, Shaun, I think maybe your story is a good story, and it's exactly what the industry needs. That's how I look at it. It's the thinning of the herd. And the reality of it is this, is that if you are someone that has been your whole life in cannabis, in this industry, and I'm talking about pre-legalization days, then I feel totally bad for you and whatnot, and I think the industry should help you pivot into something new and offer some type of support as much as they possibly can in those type of new ventures. But as far as all these new booties that came in since legalization, it was like, oh, we're gonna help shape the industry and help make da 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 da, and after 2 years, they call themselves some type of expert and da 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 da, and like, oh, I've been in the industry for 9 months, and it's so great and it's so amazing, and oh my God, there's so much opportunity, and I'm just so blessed to be here every day. Oh my God, it's so great. I love the plant. Oh, it's so great. Yeah, stroke me. Yeah, get out of here.
Valley girl.
Kick rocks. Yeah. Kick rocks. You guys deserve to be fired and deserve to not have jobs and all that type of stuff, and y'all should go and find some real work.
When I do interviews and someone says that to me, I'm like, red flag right there.
Exactly. I had someone tell me that they were an expert and they had been in the cannabis industry for like a year or a year and a half, and I was just like, get the hell out of here. I was like, that right there is the whole problem in the cannabis industry right there.
I'm still afraid to say I'm an expert, and I've been at this for 7 years. Y'all gave me my first grade.
To me, you got to be in it over a decade before you can even think about calling yourself an expert, and you have to have worked in multiple facets in order to call yourself an expert. Otherwise, you're strictly an expert in one thing.
I heard someone at MJ Biz this last year refer to themselves as a veteran, and they had only been in it since 2021.
This is my exact point. Yeah. This is my exact point. So
you've never been raided?
Yeah, exactly.
Put a gun in your face?
Exactly my point. If you've never gone to jail for weed, then personally, I don't think you should have a job in weed. You know?
No, I think there's room. I do think this is a natural burp, though. I do think that we got way too far ahead of ourselves. We had a really cool anomaly with the pandemic and everybody being locked at home. And
don't worry, there'll be another one soon enough.
Smoke weed. Everybody overestimated that. They went way too hard. They took too much private investor money and did way too many crazy, like, what are you doing with this? Like, who helped you structure this?
Throw it in the bag.
You didn't call Dale.
It's all about tricking off. Dale, what were you about to say, Dale?
Well, it's some of this stuff is rather comical because I mean I look at somebody will put out, and I don't know if it's their profile, if you will. You start seeing all these acronyms after it, and I'm this and I'm that, and you it's like, listen, bitch.
Yeah.
Stop it, okay?
Yeah.
I have qualified and testified in front of juries.
That's right.
As an expert on cannabis. Chris knows more about growing weed than I do, okay? But because I was an attorney and I was willing to stand up, I was an expert. But I've been experts in other things. It doesn't mean I really know what I'm talking about. It's I can jump through some of these hoops. And so I find it a bit comical because, where's your ego in this? It's like it's all the acronyms after your name is where your ego is. I'm looking for people that can have an honest discussion about what the hell do you know how to do. It quit trying to tell me that I've been doing this for some small amount of time and I now know everything. I'm 71 years old and I don't know shit. I've been an attorney for almost 40 years. I don't know shit. But I've been an expert before. And when people try to tell me that, I'm an expert at something, it's like, back up a little bit. Stop. Don't come at me like that. What do you actually know? Because I've been in court. I've qualified experts. I know how the game works. Then you read some of these titles and you read, where'd you go to school? What's your background education? And it's like, just stop it. You're an influencer. I'm practicing gratitude and manifesting abundance. Okay. Get the out of here. Stop it.
Fair enough.
Whoa. We did open this story with the Lunar New Year. You can manifest abundance. You can't mix your bullshit with your abundance. Yeah, you gotta.
Well, they're also too, Shaun. A lot of these people just like a you know what I'm saying, as an abundance of bullshit. That's just the type of people they are. You know what I mean? Because that's all they know how to do. But nonetheless, I
congratulate anyone who has chosen. I do have I think there is a business turnover. There is a theory of attrition. And it is a 7-year mark. I think that's also true with marriages and just human behavior.
Well, that's better. That's a lot better than Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? As far as girls that want to come in and do acting and modeling, because their run rate.
Gosh, you guys are a little bit hyper focused on the women.
Well, their run rate. This for males too. Their run rate is 9 months because after 9 months, their parents stop paying for them to live in LA and they have to move back home, and that's just the reality.
Oh, it's a shorter burn rate. Oh.
Yeah. So. You know what I mean? It's a longer run rate in cannabis, I guess, than Hollywood. But nonetheless, pursue your dreams. And on that, I have one final story for you guys today. Because LA Lakers Deandre Ayton briefly detained for marijuana possession, you guys. That's right. Los Angeles Lakers center and former top draft pick Deandre Ayton was detained for marijuana possession on Tuesday. According to reports, Ayton attempted to travel through a Bahamas airport while carrying the drug. The Los Angeles Lakers Deandre Ayton was briefly detained on Tuesday at Linden Pindling International Airport in the Bahamas on suspicion of being in possession of a small amount of marijuana. His lawyer and two sources familiar with the matter told Reuters. Jasper Williams Ward of Reuters reported on X previously, and Ayton in his first season with the Lakers, his third stop in an 8-year NBA career. He signed a 2-year deal in LA after a 2-year stint with the Portland Trailblazers, and his run with the Phoenix Suns did not end on the brightest note, but he has found a role on the Lakers. And Ayton was a college basketball superstar, leading the Arizona Wildcats to a 27-8 record as an All-American in 2018, and that made him #1 overall pick by the Suns that summer, and there he was key to their 2021 Finals appearance, where they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. But from Phoenix to Portland, it has not been the career many imagined for this center. His Lakers tenure had been going well, but this arrest could become a hiccup, they say. Oh man, getting caught up in the Bahamas for some trees. I mean, come on, bro. What is this? Stop it. Stop this craziness. You guys are smarter than that.
It wasn't Moscow like Brittany Griner.
This is the thing.
This in your bag.
You know what the NBA stands for, Dale? Okay, it stands for never broke again, which means he has plenty of money to be able to pay a fall guy to carry his bag for him, so he doesn't have to carry his bag. So then that way, this is just straight stupidity of him. He should have had his bag in someone else's bag.
Weed in the Bahamas. You get there, I'm sure you can find some weed in the Bahamas too.
I'm sure. I agree with that too. Probably, you know what I mean? You know, but at the same time, you're not going to find the same stuff that he would have found in LA. It's going to be some, you know.
Okay, but he just
some
stepped on
stuff.
His wang for his life here.
But I'm an NBA player, bro, and I deserve the best gas in the world. You know what I mean? It comes from LA. It's the best stuff. You know what I mean? All that other stuff, it just doesn't do it for me.
And the cops are like, yeah,
a couple times, but I don't want to incriminate myself here, so I'm going to shut up.
You're not incriminating yourself.
The statute of limitations run, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not there.
If you're like a 7-foot-tall NBA player, you already stick out like a sore thumb. A lot of these guys are going to wear a lot of jewelry. He probably was profiled and somewhat extorted, but yeah, just pay the money and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
The penalties in the Bahamas aren't really that bad. It's not like it's Russia or Iran or something. So he's just got to deal with it.
Yep.
So the headline's overblown, and then hopefully we can also figure out how to get rid of this.
You know what wasn't
nonsense
overblown? You know what wasn't overblown, Shaun? His bag of weed that got confiscated.
It was underblown.
Ah,
All
yes.
THC.
Yeah, it's all THCA at the end of the day. That's what he should have just stuck to. But anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. And thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. Thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And Shaun said I'm a genius today.